Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here, the Call of Duty MLG Orlando Open, and now we're set up for a treat. The winner of this goes against FaZe Clan, comes out second in a Pool A. On one side, you have eLevate, the Anaheim runner-ups, and on the other side, probably one of the most impressive, if not the most impressive team coming out of the open bracket, it's BitterSweet.
Yeah, and it's really tough to kind of get the differential between these two teams, right? Because both of them are 1-1 in the pool play. Both of them lost to Envy, and both of them beat the XTCM, the United roster. But again, how much can you really learn from that? You know, like Envy, one of the best teams in the game, potentially the best team in the game, as we will get that answer later on in this tournament. And then when you beat the United, well, that's a team that hasn't won a single series on LAN in Black Ops 3. That's including qualifying for the CWL. They did that online. So again, you can't really learn too much. They're beating a team that never wins, and then they lost to a team that's been winning a lot. So there's only so much you can learn. But from what we've seen so far from these BitterSweet guys, Hippie is a guy you want to look out for, and then Copier is not too far behind. It's really just a matter of, in the respawns, how good are Quality and Buck actually going to do?
Yeah, both of them have been struggling a bit watching that series against Team Envious. That one went 3-1 in favor of the boys in blue, and I believe it was Quality that started maybe like 0-12 or something like that. He had a very rough time in that game number 1 Hardpoint. But looking at BitterSweet so far, you think in this one, Hippie, we expect him to show up again. He did it every single time against Team Envious. I've been talking to Copier. He's like, okay, looking at him play, he's going to stay around even in all of the respawns. And Search and Destroy, I feel like he's going to be the one rocking a sniper as well if he decides to bring it out on Breach. We saw him pull it out against Team Envious on Fringe, and he was able to pick up John a couple of times in that matchup.
And guys, I'm sure you noticed in the ban and protects, I think it was both Buck and Hippie that decided either not to pick a ban or protect at all. But as we got the information, they're actually going to have to start this entire process over. I'm not sure if one of the players couldn't connect, what the issue was, but Buck wasn't selecting anything, so we're going to have a bit of a redo. And something that's interesting about these teams, and this is kind of a, oh, there you go, player actually just lagged out. An interesting thing is actually about Hippie specifically. From what I'm told, and this is a very good source, I have a guy named Illusory that plays in open brackets all the time. Not necessarily know an amateur player, but a guy I've been friends with for some time, was explaining, who plays against Hippie all the time. He is a god with the KN44. It's a very particular thing to bring up, that a player is good with like the 4th or 5th best AR in the class, but they actually had a match when they were playing United. They banned the Man of War, they banned the M8, and they banned the HVK, and he pulled out the KN44 and he dropped a 40 bomb or something. I think he might have got 50. He was ridiculous, shredding with it. It was insane.
I was watching, I was like, wait a second. I saw the ban and protect, and I came over and told you, and then the game went on. I'm like, he has the KN44, and Hippie still showed up and put in work. And we've seen a lot of the XR2 as well this tournament. Surprised to see that being pulled out here in Orlando. But everyone, don't forget to give us your predictions and running through the maps for this series. Of course, this is a number 3 versus number 4 matchup. We start things out on Evac. We move over to Breach for Search and Destroy. Uplink will be playing on Fringe, followed by Stronghold, Capture the Flag, and then we go all the way to Game 5. We're heading to the water for Hunted Search and Destroy.
Yeah, there you go. Unfortunately so. I'm sure there has to be someone out there, right, that actually likes Hunted S&D. Like, I'm
statistically speaking, there
that's what I'm saying. It's a very big world that we live in, so someone's bound to appreciate it. But generally speaking, that's not going to be the case. Either way, though, just to try and give you guys as much background information as possible for BitterSweet, Copier is a guy who has been around for a very long time. He played all throughout Advanced Warfare. He was kind of a known guy. But again, this is just in the amateur scene, and then Hippie again has been playing absolutely fantastic. So far against Envy, the only map they took was the Search and Destroy. I think Envy's been struggling a little bit so far this tournament with their S&D game, but everything else has been going well, so you can't really complain. And then when they were playing against United, they pulled off all the respawn wins, actually. They won both the Hardpoint, Uplink, and CTF, so they're not going to be shabby in any particular game mode at all.
The CTF was very close. It ends up going to overtime. And this was something where I was watching the game and I'm like, okay, we're going to see what BitterSweet can do, sort of what they're made of, right? Because you think of a lot of amateur teams and you have the lead, you have 2 minutes left, and some teams just forget the fundamentals, right? They go, and you're like, what in the world are they doing? The lead collapses. It goes in overtime. They come out in overtime strong. They cap the flag with less than 40 seconds. I think 38 was the official time there, and they were able to hold off. And I was talking with people. We were like, okay, all they have to do is not turtle. We saw them turtle towards the end of regulation. They cannot do that again if they want to win this match.
Certainly. So that's kind of the lay of the land, especially, you know, making sure you stay on top of the fundamentals, don't make any mistakes. But if Quality and Buck can perform, this is definitely a team that's a force to be reckoned with. But then, of course, you got to talk about eLevate a little bit too. They're definitely not what many would consider a top-tier team in like the CWL in the pro scene, but they are known as a team that can certainly hang with them and beat them on any given day. I think it was back at Anaheim, if I do remember correctly, where they made it all the way to the grand finals, and then they opened up, nearly beating out the game, and they beat him in the Hardpoint. Felony was playing like a monster, and they had, again, nearly one of the craziest tournament runs we've seen so far.
It's, you think of a team like eLevate, and it's like the traditional dark horse, right? It's the team that you always think, okay, fourth, fifth, sometimes a little bit lower than that, but it's like this team has the talent, they have the teamwork, the communication, they have all the pieces. They just need to put the puzzle together, and then they can go on an absolute run.
Yeah, you never expect them to win the tournaments, but it's always something in the back of your mind. We're like, well, like, I doubt it, but like, it could happen. You don't really know. It could certainly happen. It's just a matter of whether or not they put it together. And again, it's really on the backbone of a couple players on that team at any given time just need to step up. Again, for that hard point against Optic Gaming, Felony, I think he went on a 15 kill streak, completely threw the team on his back. So they do need a little bit of you know, finesse like that where one player just goes off. So again, they don't have that core four-man slaying power to just bowl a team over. Someone needs to step up for the squad. But at the same time, again, any given day's notice, this is one of the best teams in the game. And
even going back to that point, right, we look at the series against Anaheim. You talk about how Optic Gaming worked their way back into that series over streak after streak, right? eLevate had a commanding lead, Optic picks up a couple of kills, and then the train starts. So that's a team that can work their way back into any single game. And when I mentioned BitterSweet before, they looked a bit shaky in a CTF where they had the lead, they gave it up. You cannot let that happen against a team like eLevate, like Envious, like FaZe, especially because the winner of this, we believe, will go against FaZe in the championship bracket. You need to hold on for the full 10 minutes.
Exactly, and of course, moving on into the ban and protects, now that we actually have all 8 people successfully in this lobby, I was honestly kind of hoping we'd see BitterSweet kind of target some of those ARs, but it's actually going to be eLevate that decides to take out the Man of War. So everything is literally as standard as you could possibly make it. Again, just try and keep it in the back of your mind, potentially in the later respawns, that if it so happens that the Kane is one of the last ARs, that is kind of Hippie's go-to.
And you think having them play straight up like this, having the traditional ban and protect, doesn't hurt them too much. They've sort of played the same thing against Envy, and they were pretty close. And the hardpoint ends up, you know, sort of snowballing out of control a little bit. But you think even with Quality having the bad start he did, they weren't down by too much. They worked their way. They were able to get time in the hill time and time again. And it was really a two-man show, as they said over in the Alpha stream sometimes, from Copier and Hippie.
Yeah, and these are also guys that have been around for a while. So a lot of times we talk about who is coming to the events more practiced than the other team. If you throw a roster together within like a week, there's only so much that you're going to be able to do. Well, this BitterSweet squad has actually been teaming together for quite some time. I know at least, who was it, Copier and Buck performed together back at Anaheim, and they were actually had a pretty good run there. They ended up going against Millennium at some point. They were able to take a few mops off of them, although I think Millennium ended up coming out on top. But these are guys that have faced some top-tier competition. Now, of course, eLevate is constantly going against the top-tier competition, but just something to keep in your back of your mind. And interesting to see the Purifier actually gets pulled out for Evac Hardpoint.
So I'm wondering, immediately I see the Purifier, I'm thinking of glass. Like, you can hold so many choke points with that, so you're going to have to see when Buck decides to use that. And then it's positioning as well, because he's going to be turning left and right all around. Have to make sure the call-outs will be there. And rounding out the special shots is Scythe, picked up by Quality and Aqua. Active camo in the hands of Hippie and Facinto. And then Copier and Felony will have the kinetic armor. Meanwhile, Nagafin going to have the Psychosis instead of the Purifier.
And what's interesting about that Purifier as well is that is one of the slowest weapon specialists that you can earn in the game. I think the Scythe is like right on par with it. it for the actual time. But it's one of those things that we expected to be pulled out on the glass hill. That is going to be the last one in the set of rotations. But if Buck is not performing, which we have seen him do earlier on in the respawns, if he doesn't get that purifier by glass, he might only get that once in the entire game, and he might not be able to use it on a hill that he prefers. So it's kind of playing with fire, so to speak, that if you're not good enough to earn the specialist enough times, then you'd rather have the ability than the weapon. So a little bit of pressure is going to be on this player heading into this match.
And then you have to think the high impact kill potential as well coming in from both sides. Copier and Hippie both going to be playing around the hill, especially with that kinetic armor in the hands of Copier. He able to push the hill, sometimes slay out as well. It's really going to help him to have that in his backpack. But you think Felony as well. Remember that standout performance from Anaheim. Scared to see what he's going to be able to bring if he goes on another streak like that.
Yeah, and again, guys, both of these teams are tied right now in the pool at 1-1. The winner goes in the winners of the championship bracket, and they have a much easier run than if they lose this match, because then they go into losers, have the automatic loss on the record, and then it is you lose and you are out. So again, high intensity match, a lot of pressure coming into this today, and this is also, again, worth mentioning, eLevate's first match of the day, and this is BitterSweet's like 4th or 5th or something. Yeah.
They've been playing all day, and they're just coming off of that series against Team Envious, right? So, backs against the wall, once again, kind of so to speak, right? But I want to hop on board with Aqua. He does have the M87 at his disposal, and the next few minutes will be very interesting as we're on board with eLevate to start game 1.
Well, no one going to be challenging Aqua from the left side, but the players flying over top again. It's always very chaotic early on. You see that kill feed is literally getting split back and forth with perfect trades, but it looks like BitterSweet able to get that final closing kill to come out on top early on. But more importantly, they're also already holding the spawns for the next hill. Of course, 40 seconds left on it, so eLevate has plenty of time to work themselves over. But you see the spawn that Buck just got. That is where BitterSweet wants to be.
And Hippie on the 3 streak. We've hyped him up so much. Let's see what he can do. And now just going to run all the way away from the action. Buck going to come up to 1, picks up 2. Expect the kill to be traded right away as Hippie's going to play his life inside the hill. Has the laser sight on the VMP as well, so he's not scared to get up close.
And very nice start coming out of BitterSweet, coming out hot. Again, these players are very warmed up. 4th or 5th match of the day. Aqua, though, he's going to be fighting for those spawns, has the HPK in hand, and is able to pick up 1. Absolutely shreds Buck on that play, and now he is going to be holding spawns for his team as long as he wins the second gunfight, which he takes down Hippie as well. Of course, BitterSweet did have a player inside the hill. Looks like Vicento, though, eventually able to overpower him and eLevate, now getting some points on the board.
On top on board with Vicento. Inside the hill, looking for 1. I think Follow is going to be the only one really near him, but look who's all the way in the back for BitterSweet. That's Buck, able to pick up 1, has another one on the stairs, almost able to make it work, but more importantly, he's able to stay alive here. He buys enough time for his teammates to get back inside of this hill. The trophy system will take out all the lethals and tacticals, and just like that, eLevate come through with a break.
Yeah, it was a pretty perfect use of Psychosis as well. That is a very close quarters hill, and if you're trying to shoot at 3 different clones and 2 different players, you're not going to know what's going on, and those players, of course, are able to just pick you apart. So eLevate, again, good use. Aqua has picked up 3 while inside of this hill, or 2, excuse me. Now the weight Felony just racking up all the time. Quality, though, is able to pick up 2 with the HVK, and it looks like BitterSweet's actually going to give up 10 seconds to scrap time just to fight for the next hill.
And it's really not going in their favor so far. Player after player for BitterSweet, dropping around the next hill. Quality is going to be added to the kill feed as well. So Nagavan looks like he's going to be holding down inside of the hill. They send 1 on the outside wall run. Buck spotted, taken out. Copier's going to be the next one coming around the same corner. Saw it worked against Infused a little bit earlier in the series today. Copier, though, not able to stay alive. There's going to be more time going over to eLevate.
Yeah, I honestly want to bring it back for a second as well. When you give up 10 seconds of scrap time, you better make damn well sure that you actually get those spawns. So they waste 10 seconds on the time, and now they're down by 15, and they're still fighting while eLevate is complete control. So again, something to keep in the back of your mind as this match goes on. But Aqua right now is having a fantastic performance. He's sitting at 13-7, leading the charge, but well, if he's going to be there to shut him down as he's able to pick up 2.
Yep, Aqua looks like he's going to set up on this top AC, so eLevate. Red Rebellion going to set up over here for Glass, and just like that, Aqua drops as well, but we see the rotations coming in now, and I want to check the specialist progress. We start to see a lot of the team compositions come into play here. Look, almost to that purifier, so don't expect to really see it come out here, but if you save it for the second rotation, you can bring it out in kitchen just as easy.
Either way, it looks like eLevate is coming out on top of the sling battle. You see all 4 players from BitterSweet have to push in the right side of the map. 3 are going down the street, and then 1 is trying to push in the middle. Facento, though, is there to watch that cut. Aqua wins his gunfight as well. Quality gets the trade, but again, the specialist coming out, and Felony is able to pick up 2. We saw this earlier on the second hill, where the specialists come out, eLevate makes the perfectly clean break, and now they are racking up the time. You know, BitterSweet, very hot start on the first hill. Since then, it has been nothing but the Red Rebellion.
Scythe being used as well. Felony on the 5 streak, trying to make it 6. He has 1 above him. So he's going to try and use the movement to his advantage, but we have Aqua right there with you at 17 and 11. You don't really have to worry about that gunfight now. Less than 10 seconds left in the last hill in the rotation. We're going back to the middle. Second rotation starts.
Yeah, Felony just went on a 5 streak as well, and if I remember correctly, this is actually the map at Anaheim that eLevate was able to take down Optic Gaming, so you definitely know that they're going to be capable again with a 115 to 54 lead, and Nagafen is in the hill, racking up more time as well. There's the Purifier and the Scythe coming out to play. I think the Dart, though, actually shut down Buck, and then Nagafen picks up 2, so both of the weapon specialists are getting combined 1 kill on the exact same hill.
That's what you don't want out of your utility, right? You think specialists are so important sometimes to be able to hold on to a hill, to be able to go for a break as well. You use half of your utility on the 1 push and it doesn't work at all. That's going to come back to bite you for sure.
Yep, now Nagafen is calling it just more and more streaks. You see all those players spawning in the back for BitterSweet, and 1 is going to fall by that explosive Harrier, I think it actually is. Still, though, BitterSweet, you see they're going to go ahead and prioritize spawns once again. 2 players are pushing in through glass. It looks like Vicento, though, is going to be able to shut down Copier, but now you hear more streaks getting used. This is what the huge benefits of going on early streaks, and Nagafen right now is on a 6 spree as we talk about it. When you build up streaks, it makes the game easier and easier, and now the Cerberus has been called in. Someone on the subreddit needs to take a shot.
Little robot helper is going to come onto the map, and Nagafen's going to keep the streak going, make that 7 in a row. Next up, looks like Quality will be added for the 8th, but here comes from the back. Finally, Copier is going to be the one to be able to shut him down. Quality now inside the hill. And let's see, do they have EMPs starting to come out here as Quality finds himself in an engagement? Looks like Hippie has switched over to EMPs, but he's going to be the only real source there to be able to combat that service that is now pushed into the hill. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Nagafen just started controlling that because it immediately picked up a 2 kill, and it was using the explosives like Trey's. And there you see he actually did, and that is actually a very good use as well, because you see Felony is in the hill. He's picking up the final 10 seconds of scrap time, and that was led by that charge. Now again, BitterSweet actually gets Felony outside, but instead of trying to pick up any scrap time for themselves, they're trying to fight for these spawns, but Aqua is going to be there. Looks like Hippie and Quality, though, are going to be there to shut him down.
Look at Felony, though. Coming around, going to try and play spoiler. Able to pick up 1, turns around. Connects with the 2nd as well. Almost picks up the 3rd, but he's in at Quality, though, on a 3 streak. Better than what we saw from him earlier today, and I like that, right? You're able to bounce back from the performance in that series and show up. This is a better BitterSweet team. I think when we saw in the first game is when you talk about them sharing the time in the objective, when you talk about the distribution of the slaying numbers as well, but right now you got to get more points on the board if you want to go into the Winners' Championship bracket. I mean, eLevate really is just playing phenomenally, right? Yeah. Like, that's another hill where they broke it with a specialist. I think it was with the active camo there. Aqua was able to pick up a 2-piece working himself in. Now, that is a clean 4 down for BitterSweet, and they are going to be able to pick up the final 14 seconds. eLevate, though, they're going to have about a 100-point lead going into glass, and right now they do have the setup. Of course, though, Quality is able to get that intro kill. Nagafen's coming on the flank. He's able to pick up 2, getting those long-range shots down on Buck. Didn't know that 1 was right next to him, and Copier, you know, with the long-range BMP shots, you don't see that very often, especially after the newest patch. He ends up falling. Looked like Felony did use the kinetic armor inside the hill. The trophy system's going to take up all the lethals and tacticals, but BMP makes it through, so now BitterSweet, you have to step up here in glass. The comeback needs to start right now. They've got a lot of work cut out for them. Quality's pushing up with the HVK. There's actually going to be a player awkwardly right next to him that he swims directly in front of. Aqua in the water is a deadly force. They actually gave him a little bit of buffs. When he's in the water, he shoots double damage out of his gun, and you can see eLevate utilizing that. 212 to 194, excuse me, just 94, more than 100 point, separating these 2 teams. So, now, what do you think of BitterSweet so far, that you got a chance to sit here and cast their match against eLevate? How do you see them performing in the rest of the series?
I think in the S&D it'll be interesting, but I just don't think they're going to have enough in pretty much any of the respawns. I think the CTF could go either way, but I think Uplink I'm definitely going to have to get to the eLevate just because, again, you see Buck right now 17 and 30, and then all 4 players across the board are at least slightly negative. All the quality did just even it up, but I think collectively as a team, they don't have enough slaying power in the respawns to keep up.
Well, let's see what they can do. They're still getting some time on the board, and with Hippie's active camo, he can buy some time inside the hill. Unfortunately, he's spotted, taken out with ease, and that gives control back to eLevate. BitterSweet forced to come through that middle dorm. You see they were taken out left and right. Looks like the pinch is going to come in. Hippie not able to pick up anyone. There you think he picks up one and then gets immediately traded. eLevate looking strong here towards what should be the end of this game if they can hold on.
Yeah, and then another thing you have to think about for BitterSweet as well is how much quality practice they're actually getting in, right? Because they're going to be scrimming other amateur teams, right? And Aqua did just pick up a 3-piece, which is pretty nice. Can't really ignore those sorts of things. But again, eLevate constantly playing the best teams in the world, and steel sharpens steel, so they're going to always be really at the top of their game, right? So BitterSweet, of course, is going to have their work cut out for them. They are going to be the underdogs in this situation. Either way, though, the S&D, if they were able to take it off of Envy, they can certainly do it off of eLevate. But either way, eLevate looking to close this one out. The score is just approaching 250, and that looks to be the case. 250, 127. eLevate collectively across the board. Fantastic game.
Aqua puts 3 in the kill feed, and BitterSweet ends up having a team kill with the Purifier. So you said they were playing with fire, and sometimes you play with fire, you get burned.
These are the things that happen. These are the things that happen on the Bravo stream. Either way, again, Buck 18 and 34. That's kind of what we talked about, him and quality. If they can step it up in the slaying department, there's some hope in the respawns. But really, it's kind of the question we had earlier. I'm kind of struggling to remember the teams we are, but it was Kingsman, actually. Whether or not they can win the search and whether or not they can win the respawns. Obviously, we talked about how BitterSweet was able to win the respawns against your United roster. But again, that's a roster that has not won a single series on land. So there's only so much you can really take from that. But either way, moving into map number 2, a lot of things are going to be learned. Can eLevate actually just steamroll and get the 3-0? Because that would be huge for the momentum, again, putting them in the championship bracket. Or will BitterSweet start to put up a fight?
Not only is that 2 in a row that would set them up in a potential matchup against FaZe Clan, and then that means BitterSweet would have lost 2 series in a row. And guys against the wall, quite literally, you lose 1 more and then you would be out of the tournament. You need to step up. Maintain composure is what we always say, and that's really a test for them. I saw this going into this pool as the hardest matchup for them because you think they can take United. Team Envious is the #1 seed coming into Orlando. This was the one we sort of highlighted as they need to win this if they want to find themselves in the winner's bracket. That's exactly the situation they're in, and we need to see how they stack up against a team like eLevate that can bring so much to the table.
Exactly, and then map number 2 for this series is going to be Search and Destroy on Breach. And I know when I think Search and Destroy, I love sniping myself, so I always think, who are the snipers on the map? And well, Nagafen has made a bit of a name for himself of doing some pretty fancy things on S&D, so not sure if he's going to elect to pull it out on Breach, but we have already seen some very nice plays from people sniping from top greenhouse, both formal and study. Yesterday, we're going back and forth in the Optic Luminosity series, so definitely expect that if someone's going to be pulling out the sniper, that is where they are going to be. So Nagafen, my eyes on him, and well, again, the BitterSweet roster, we still have a lot to learn about the capabilities and skill sets of these players.
So you think Copier, if things go the same in the roles as the matchup against Team Envious, he'll be the one rocking the sniper rifle. I feel like I said that weird for a second. Hippie, though, is going to be able to switch back and forth between a submachine gun and an assault rifle, and my eyes are going to be a lot on him. You think a lot of the time when Copier's not running a submachine gun or when he's running a submachine gun and not running a sniper rifle is what I'm trying to say, he's normally the one to set up on flanks for this team. He does it in all the respawns, and he can do it in Search and Destroy as well. What I want to see from eLevate here is you can't let Hippie do what he did against Envy when he was able to sneak behind 2 players, take them out. Envy had to respect that, and they were just trapped inside of 10 on Fringe.
Exactly.
You can't let a player just get behind you like that and cut you off.
Yeah, and then another thing to think about is a player I don't think we've highlighted quite enough. Felony has definitely got to look out for. And keep in mind, this is an eLevate squad that they went out of their way to pick up Felony as their fourth. They would like hand-picked him for their team. And he's a guy that can certainly make an impact in search and destroy. I know I was kind of talking about the fancy snipes coming from Nagafen, but Felony as a player has been known in recent times, at least, for his S&D game.
So you think right now, how do you see the search and destroy going? Of course, it was, what, I believe 6-4, favorite BitterSweet against Envy. Do we go to round 11 here? Or are we seeing like round 10, round 5, quick 6-0?
I'm honest, I have no idea. I don't even know how to begin to predict, right? Because there's so many factors that come into play. Again, like BitterSweet, their fourth or fifth match on the day. Are they tired? Are they amped up? Do they have an adrenaline rush from just playing on main stage against Envy? Are they mentally in it? Like, there's so many things that could be running through these guys' mind that it's just very tough to tell. And again, that was a pretty tough loss in the Hardpoint as well. So are these guys going to bounce back and be like, all right, we lost the Hardpoint against Envy, then we got the S&D the next game? Are they going to have that mentality? Like, who knows? It could be a close one. It could be a blowout. To me, this is honestly anyone's game. And I'm trying to remember. Do you remember eLevate when they played against Envy yesterday in pool play? Who took the S&D? Was it eLevate that pulled it off?
I'm not 100% sure on that. We will have to get an update to find out. But one thing I do want to bring up, you mentioned that they have to stay in it. Composure can be a huge one going into this. And Copier and Hippie are sort of the two keeping everyone in line on this. I don't think, I've rarely seen Copier tilt, so I feel like he's going to be able to step up. Hippie, I believe that's like the worst performance I've seen from him so far. So looking at this one, there's a possible 11 rounds. We're starting out right now for game number 2 between Team eLevate and BitterSweet. And what do we see so far in the Bans and Protects, or what do you think will stay the same? Do you think we see the tacticals taken out again? Do we see any target man sort of snipers?
I mean, as much as we like to talk about how we want teams to kind of mix it up, that's just kind of the caster's dream, right? Yeah. Pretty much every single Ban and Protect we've seen so far is as standard as can be. I think, again, we saw the one exciting one where BitterSweet banned out 3 of the ARs, but it's search and destroy. Overkill is going to get taken out. Both the tacticals have already gone. Rapid fire is gone. High caliber is going to follow. An HC ban might very well come into play, but an overclock is going to get taken down as well. Ban and Protects have become very, very predictable, pretty much from the get-go of Call of Duty. And then, of course, the Vesper would have been added to the list, but it is powerful enough that everybody was like, you know what, I would feel bad if I used this gun. I can't even bring myself to do it because it is that powerful. It's like shooting lightning. Well, we have the Tempest for that. Well, yeah. It's like shooting, I don't know.
I mean, insane. The Vesper is extremely powerful right now, so you bring that out, I mean, you give that to a player like Aqua, think of what he'd be able to do with that. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous, the potential that you have, but now we do see the SVG taken out, and I say that really benefits eLevate. I'm not sure how much Copier's practiced with the other sniper rifles in the game, but I feel like Nagafen has him beat in that aspect. And overkill is going to fall as well. That is an interesting question, Wells, right? Because like we know eLevate, we know those guys can snipe, especially Nagafen again, as mentioned before, but BitterSweet is a little bit more of an unknown quality, right? So how much do these guys eLevate come in and prepare for any of these amateur teams? Do they really bother? Do they like have it in the back of their mind at all? Or do they just do the home cooking for the other guys that are in the CWL who they view as their most competition? So again, if it's eLevate choosing to take out the SVG, I don't know if that's a saying, hey, we know this is what Copier likes to do, or they're just saying, hey, we just want the less variation possible. If you like to snipe, you're not going to, you're going to play our game. So I'm trying to see, I know it was 3-1. I'm trying to bring up the scoreboard to see if eLevate took that search and destroy against Team Envious. And as soon as I do have that information, I will be able to tell you, and lucky for you, I have it right now. The search and destroy went 6-2 in favor of Envious. eLevate won the game 3, which was an Evac uplink.
Okay, there you go. See, I had read somewhere that Envy was struggling so far in S&D in this tournament, but apparently they're just like 1 for 3 or something along those lines. Either way, if you're an Envy fan, be looking out for that later on as we go along in the tournament. Either way, eLevate currently sitting up 1-0 in this series. It's all about what goes down in the search and destroy, and Breach has been a pretty popular map we've seen so far, but nothing too crazy from the specialist draft as well. Again, it's pretty much a mirror image of each side. I think Overdrive is really the only thing we see that mixes it up, and there are a few things you can pull off with Overdrive. You can do a mid-map rush on defense and hit the wall runs on the top side, and you can flank pretty quickly, but it's a situation where the map is big enough that you can't get anywhere quick enough that if the other team just isn't watching it, you're going to sprint into your death.
And communication is going to be huge. You think you have glitch on both sides, being able to use that in a highlight situation, it's going to be a bit difficult, and you can't glitch out of the heat wave as we saw Cloud9 try to do earlier against FaZe Clan, but you think kinetic armor is going to come up sort of halfway at the earliest through this game. I would say more like 3/4 of the way, if not all the way towards your round 9, your round 10, your possible round 11. So expect players like Copier and Felony to really make an impact with that. Heat wave on the other side can completely turn rounds in either direction.
Yeah, Heat Wave is almost a guaranteed round if you use it properly, especially once you get down to those 1v1s and 2v2 situations when the numbers are that low. And, you know, you bring up Breach, excuse me, is a bit of an interesting map. There are a lot of places where you can fall off. And, of course, the glitch, it is very tough to predict exactly where you're going to be. So players, at the very least, have to be a little bit cautious. Obviously, you can just boost right back up after you glitch anyway, but just something to keep in the back of your mind if you're either Facento or Quality to make sure you're keeping track of where you have run in the past.
So, game number 2 now underway. We are ready to go for Breach, Search, and Destroy. Thank you for joining us once again. Going through the classes so far, looks like Copier is going to start with some machine gun. That's 2 total. Probably going to be the last one to come in for BitterSweet. So we're going to bring the XR2 to the table. So that's 2 assault rifles, 2 submachine guns, and same thing pretty much on the side of eLevate. No sniper to start this one out. I'm very surprised.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much either the Locust or the PO6. Guys, keep in mind, Overkill did get banned as usual, but the SVG did get taken out as well. So either way, eLevate on offense going to find out what they can pull off. And, well, they're actually going to the A-bomb site first off. And you can see Nagafen is going to be EMP checking mid-map. And now they know for sure that there's going to be players around this B-dom area.
So remember, to get the bomb down at A, you have to have control of the middle of the map. That's what BitterSweet's trying to do, but look at this. The early flank coming out of Felony's worked his way into bottom broken. It looks like Hippie was able to spot him, where it just feels like there is something up here. He's looking left and right, and Felony probably nice spotted Buck in the middle of the map. There we go. Just waits. The trigger patience pays off. He's able to come away with first blood. Spots another one as well.
Oh, wow.
Easy turn around, pick it up. Hippie left in a 1v4.
Yep, and he's going to die very quickly. Nagafen able to jump up and challenge, but again, got to give that round win pretty much to Felony. He was able to get behind enemy lines very, very quickly coming off the flank. And it did seem like Hippie might have caught just the tail end of him, but he didn't make the call out to his teammates, so he got shot in the back from Broken, and then picking up the 2 pieces was nice as well. The trade did not come in, so Felony completely opening up the map, and that is a first round offensive win for Team eLevate.
It's like what we sort of mentioned before the map loaded up. You can't let a player get behind you and have that much of an impact in a round, and BitterSweet was able to do it against Envy, and it happens to them when they match up against eLevate. Now, I do want to see Nagafen has pulled out the PO6. Has Thermal Cold-Blooded on as well.
Oh, God. Oh,
wait.
God. FMJ, that is what you do on this map. FMJ with the PO6, you can just spam it through the wall. You can shoot it through cages as well. I know a lot of teams like to do that. You can plant the bomb and then check it in that manner. But now Nagafen is single-handedly locking down this B bomb site, and this is going to be very tough for BitterSweet to deal with.
That was like the cleanest shot with FMJ ever. He's just like, okay, I know exactly where you're at. I have no problem taking you out. That's first blood, but Copier also was the first one to find that one. Felony dropped on the side of eLevate. Pacento's worked his way behind enemy lines. He'll be punished for that. Quality takes him out.
Well, Nagafen had a player in his sights, and that player actually just got fantastic timing to slide back across, and Quality's actually going to be able to clean up Nagafen with the 1 burst. So this is a very nice turnaround of rounds. Aqua, though, is going to be able to pick up 1. They know exactly where he is. He is going to be 1 shot, so he's going to have to rest, and those players are actually just going to hit him together. That is the smart play, but they got to find him. Aqua is going to be able to spot a player out. They got to either kill him or get the bomb down. Aqua's able to pick up 1. He knows the bomb is down, trying to run away. The player going up for the challenge, and Aqua not able to finish him off. Hippie is able to shut him down with the RK5, but Aqua just made that 1v3 much more interesting than it needed to be.
Wow. You think if you have one person up, I would say for BitterSweet, you would trust Hippie the most?
Yeah, no,
Just like
go for it.
At stage 2, you're like, who do you want in a 1v1 for Luminosity? You think Nameless, right?
Yeah.
And he ends up clutching up there. Hippie gets the job done, and we're sitting pretty at 1 apiece. On board with Aqua to start round number 3. He's going to work his way over towards the top AC. 2 of his teammates going to head over, and looks like they're going to collapse in the middle of the map. Nagafin, first one to fire some shots.
Well, Quality's actually able to pick up on with the XR2 again, and Copier just hit the right side wall run, and no one was looking over that for Team eLevate. No one got into top AC quick enough, so very nice play by him, but that's definitely something they're going to be watching in the later rounds. Either way, though, well, I was going to say it's a 3v2. Aqua is going to be able to even the odds, and he does not get traded out at all. Quality getting picked off mid-map, so again, last round we saw it was BitterSweet able to clutch the 3 versus 4, and now it looks like eLevate is trying to do something similar, clutching the 2 versus 3.
So what Hippie has to do right here is what he did against Most Wanted, and he's not able to do it. What he did against Most Wanted, he just held them at that bomb site, right? He's just putting damage into them over and over again. This time he tries to challenge eLevate. They make him pay for it. Buck is the last one up in the 1v2. And just like that, he falls, eLevate taking the lead.
Well, Aqua is having a very nice game at the moment. You saw again a 2 versus 3 situation, and Aqua is able to just pick them off one by one, making all the correct kills, doing all the correct things for Search and Destroy. So got to give credit where credit is due, and that is going to put Team eLevate up 2 rounds to 1.
So I want to see what Aqua is doing right now on defense. He's 6-1, almost has Heat Wave already. So, actually, nope. All right, no, I can't. With Nagafin having the PL6 out like this, can't do it. And then, all right, kills have been traded back and forth. On board with Buck, he's in the middle of the map. There's a player quite close. That's Vicento, set up in the middle hut, but they're going to run into Aqua here. Can he keep the streak going? No, he's shut down. Numbers advantage in favor of BitterSweet.
Yeah, Aqua's playing very aggressive by himself. Vicento's trying to come in for the trade, and you see Nagafin has returned to form, able to pick off Buck, and he's actually just going to get out of dodge. And you see, again, this is a situation where the team with the man disadvantage is looking to be able to clutch up. So Nagafin just absolutely takes off across the map, but he is going to put himself in a 1v1. Hippie has picked up the bomb, and it looks like Nagafin is preemptively rotated into where Hippie is trying to go now. So I'd have to give the edge to Nagafin at this point, because Hippie just looks a little bit confused.
This is interesting. Hippie back at the B site. Nagafin knows it didn't go A.
Oh, that's so loud.
Nagafin.
Oh my God.
Worked
Oh
his
my
way
God,
up
Naga.
behind the shots to the body. Just like, hey, how are you? You should have heard me, but you didn't.
Nagafin is
And
a sneaky beaver.
Oh my. He doesn't have dead silence.
So you remember at the start of the game, though, on Redwood, that Nagafin was like one of the first players to like hit the like random wall runs that everybody's seen. Well, he had to invent new ones on Breach to pull off. I don't think I've ever seen anybody take that route to go up. Now, granted, Hippie was in the middle of planting the bomb anyway, but Nagafin is doing some very sneaky stuff. And again, that is 3 rounds in a row where the team that gets first blood is not able to convert the round. A lot of clutching going on in the situation. Obviously, the past 2 in favor of eLevate.
So, Nagafin has the PL6 out again, and he will be carrying the bomb. Meanwhile, his teammates are getting pretty aggressive. Top of with Vicento, see things from his point of view. He's set up right outside of construction. There's a player currently trapped inside of there for BitterSweet. That's Copier. He'll find himself first blooded by Felon.
Yep, good pick on there. The EMP check to figure out exactly where that player was, and Felony to make sure to convert. Now you have Nagafin, well, missing a few shots. Felony's able to get one pick, but he is going to get traded as Quality. The player that Nagafin was missing some shots on is going to be there with the XR2. Another player is going to be up top. Nagafin shuts him down, and this is going to be a 0 versus 2 Aqua, excuse me, mid-map. Able to take down Quality. eLevate now going up 4 rounds to 1.
Aqua using the lower wall run again. The movement so strong on this team from everyone. And some of the easiest shots of Aqua's life right there. You can't really miss that one. He's 7-2 so far through this game. On the other side, Copier struggling a bit. He's 1-5 right now going into round number 6.
Either way, BitterSweet's going to have to put something together. It looks like they're going to be going back towards this A bomb site, and well, eLevate right now has made the perfect call. They are sending 2 players there, and well, if you don't know, on defense you get there a little bit quicker, but they did not check it quick enough. Copier, though, not quite able to finish off that kill, but now they're going to be completely surrounded. Buck is going to get the team kill, but he does clean up Vicento, so it's not the end of the world, and we are going to have it 3 versus 3. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Punishes Copier again, so now numbers advantage in favor of eLevate. Buck trades it, Hippie goes down, and 1v2.
Oh, good God.
Nagafin.
Oh, no.
We highlighted Nagafin for a reason. If you didn't know, now you know. Let's take a look at this real quick.
Yeah, okay, so gotta give credit to the FMJ. That is the 2nd kill I think we've seen him get through a wall. You don't see players shooting at walls often, but when it's Nagafin, he gets the kills as well. I felt so bad for that player when he gets shot in the side through a wall, because he's like, this is the safest corner ever. And then he gets shot a 2nd time. Like, he must just like panic, just pure and sheer panic, because now you have to be concerned. Everywhere you are on the map, you might very well die by the hands of Nagafin. You don't know.
And he knows there's a player there trying to pick out the first blood and won't be able to do it. So, look at this. Immediately the rotation comes in. Quali on board with him, using the XR2. PO6 shots still being fired.
Nagafin called in a dart.
I believe that is the dart. Let's go into the sky. Nagafin will be our pilot, and just like that, cleans up Hippie. Copier 1-7 for game number 2. It was 1-6 with Cinto. Ends up right there. That's a 6-1. 2-game advantage in favor of eLevate. 1 away from advancing to the winner's bracket.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit before the match start. We were kind of excited to see Nagafin snipe a little bit. He put on the FMJ, and the PO6 was able to do quite a bit of work for it. Felony had an okay game. Aqua was playing pretty fantastic early on, and there just wasn't much for him to do later. But the question was whether or not BitterSweet can kind of match their performance they had against Envy coming into this one. And honestly, they just completely fell flat. The Hardpoint obviously did not go their way at all, but that's just a matter of you're getting beat by a team that is much more experienced playing against higher level competition than you, so there's not too much to take away from that. But then the S&D, that was just an absolute beatdown. I don't know how you come back from getting beat 6-1 like that.
Gonna have to try on Fringe Uplink, and maybe this is where we see some of the crazy things come out on the side of BitterSweet. So, what do you think are the keys to victory for BitterSweet going into this uplink?
Not getting completely destroyed and dismantled and getting outslayed by every single player on eLevate would be a nice start. Again, players are going to have to step it up for this BitterSweet squad. I know we talked about how Hippie and Compy were doing a lot of the work earlier, and we have seen that Buck and Quality haven't had that fantastic of a performance so far, but again, collectively as a team, you're just getting completely destroyed. So you're really just going to have to gather the troops and kind of come out full force for this next map, but it's not looking too good.
So, we got to see, because I'm honestly like really worried for BitterSweet after that game 2 performance.
Yeah, I'm convinced it's over.
Going into this uplink like they were destroyed by Team Envious and Uplink. That's the nicest way to put it.
13-0?
13-0. Yeah. So they were shut out. I believe, trying to think, they lost the uplink versus, they lost the uplink earlier today too. Well, I forgot who that was.
It's one of those things,
looks like
right?
They didn't look the best at it, yeah.
One of those things where Hardpoint is a game where there is pretty much a definitive right and wrong way to play. There's obviously a lot of small, minute decisions that go in constantly throughout the game that separate players apart. But generally speaking, everybody always knows the right idea of when you want to rotate, how you want to set up, what hills are most important, stuff like that. Known quantities. And S&D, that's something that every single player is going to be experienced with. That's probably the most popular game mode. Everyone plays wagers, UMGs. They are constantly finding ways to get experience in this game mode. But Uplink is a game mode where you need a lot of teamwork, and you need to make decisions, and you need to make them correctly. There's always a lot of correct ideas, right and wrong ideas about how to play, but there's a lot of ways that you can mix and match, and this is a definite game mode where I think eLevate could just set themselves apart from BitterSweet, even more so.
They can, for sure, and with this team being together for so long, they are well practiced together. We've seen what they're able to do. On the other side, BitterSweet looks like they're going to try and get rid of Rapid Fire and High Caliber. eLevate responds with getting rid of Smokescreen and Overdrive. And once again, I think if you're BitterSweet, you sort of want to throw a wrench or something into the system right now.
A wrench in the system would definitely be a way to go because, again, you have to do something. Again, I'm very surprised that they didn't try to work themselves toward a KN strat, but honestly, eLevate might just be like good enough at every single facet of the game that there's not much you can do because, you know, the ban the SVG and Nagafan, I assure you, very comfortable with PO6. He has proved it time and time again, and that's something, honestly, we should have brought up at the very start. But eLevate, it's going to be tough to really throw them off their game, so there's only so much that you can do.
It's like you think of a team like Ground Zero, it's like, okay, we can get rid of this, and that, but you have players on the team who are so well practiced with almost everything in the game that think of, okay, we're also teams that like playing weird, we like forcing our game on other people. What would actually work against a team like this? I can't really put my finger on anything, right? Like,
you're asking some very tough questions here, Paradox. I'm not too sure.
I'm just thinking, like, it's something that we haven't seen what can really throw eLevate off of their game. Like,
beating them mercilessly with like slaying power and just being the better team overall. Other than beating him straight up, there's not much you can do, sort of thing. Understandably so. Either way, guys, pretty much the only notable thing, I believe, from the ban and protects was Aqua made sure to take out the smokes first thing, which I kind of want to hear the background on that, but that is going to be the case. And, of course, if you remember from the first Hardpoint, there was 2 weapon specialists picked from BitterSweet. This time, they're only sticking with 1. It is going to be quality with the Scythe. No Tempest, no Purifier, nothing like that. And eLevate doing something similar, but it is going to be that Tempest versus Scythe battle.
Once again, I prefer the Tempest on this one, 100%. You need that momentum, especially in Fringe Uplink. You're going to have to keep the pressure on the map, especially if you're pushing towards Barn and you're trying to set up on that spawn trap. I don't know. I feel like Scythe is a safe thing to go on defense, but we're going to have to see from both of these teams as we make it into the map. Everyone's just editing their classes, and if BitterSweet can stop the 3-0 coming out of the late, they force a stronghold to capture the flag. And if they can win that, then we're set up for Game 5, which would be Hunted, Search, and Destroy.
I really don't want it to go to Game 5. I'm not trying to say I don't want BitterSweet to like come back and make things interesting. You just don't like
Hunted.
That's what I'm saying. Hunted is just, it's such an ish map, man. But either way, we are going to see what is going to go down again. This is probably one of the most important matches we've seen so far in this entire tournament, right? Other than the actual elimination matches themselves that have happened over in the open bracket over the past 2 days. This is the one that decides who moves on into the championship bracket and who starts out first thing in losers. And honestly, right now, it's looking like BitterSweet is going to take the fall because eLevate is looking strong in every single facet of their game. All of the nooks and crannies, the weird things, the weird sniping, the clutches, the overpowering slaying performances in the hardpoint. Everything's going right. I'm not too sure if BitterSweet's going to be able to turn this one around.
You think this is, if you're a fan of the Red Rebellion, this is what you want to see, right? Because they won this, of course. Once again, we believe they will be matched up against FaZe Clan in bracket play, who FaZe were pushed all the way to a Game 5 round 11 against Cloud9. eLevate chances looking good in that, but FaZe did beat Rise Nation.
Definitely.
Which is also another one that just went to distance.
I mean, really, so like Season 2 playoffs for eLevate was definitely like disappointing. Were they even there?
No.
No. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty disappointing if you don't even qualify, right? I was about to say, I don't remember them. I know they didn't place top 4, so they weren't even top 8. So the last event they had was Anaheim, where they had a fantastic performance. So they're definitely going to be trying to replicate that. It is definitely going to be a tall road ahead of them. Again, they already took the 1 loss to Envy, but a lot of things going on. Aqua starting off with the Shiva. Either way, the kills have already gone vastly in favor of Team eLevate, and this is going to be a 1-point toss within the... No, he didn't throw it. Never mind.
Well,
he could have.
He tried to get above the uplink and then have it drop in, but doesn't go in his favor. BitterSweet now in possession of the satellite drone. You think Copier didn't have the best start with that one, is immediately taken out by a grenade. And Hippie, I like that play. Getting high up, going to go for the delayed reset as they try to establish their position for control of the map. Felony has his hands full with 2 players on the side of BitterSweet. Aqua's going to try and follow him up here with the Shiva. Has isolated 1. Buck's going to pay the price.
Well, and as far as favored and unfavored sides go, eLevate is definitely at the slightly more advantageous side. If you push all the way up trains, if you get control of Barn, you're going to force your opponent spawn all the way into that back alley. And that's why you saw, well, when Hippie was in back alley, he went for the 15. Felnia, meanwhile, is actually just going to throw it straight over the building because they are in a position to score if they get that drone down. But that player with that armor is going to be able to stay alive. And now that drone is going to get 15 once again by BitterSweet.
That one is still alive, trying to cause some damage, has teammates here to work with as well. There's a quick 2 in favor of eLevate. The drone's still not able to pick up, but Felony just needs to stay here, right? BitterSweet's pretty much forced to go through that back alley, and holding down right now is Aqua with the Shiva.
Yeah, that is a real bad position for BitterSweet right now. Aqua was on the dirtiest head glitch on white truck, and they were all spawning back alley. He was able to hold him off, so great job by Buck. That is a very big 2-piece for him to get back in this, and now they have been able to kind of reset the stats. But you see another 1-point toss is going to come in, but honestly, only getting 3 out of that, I think I'd be okay if I was BitterSweet, because again, Aqua was in the best position possible. Still though, 3 points. Felny trying to rally the score. This is at least another 1-point toss. Not sure if he's going to get greedy. That is not the case. 4-0, Team eLevate.
Yeah, I was going to say on that last play too, you had Aqua set up, pushing down trains. It's definitely more points on the board, and eLevate looking to keep the train going with 1 point to the board. There's 2 quick kills down in their favor. Aqua's going to be the one to pick up the salad drone. The only one that can make a stop really is Hippie, who's in position, but 1-point toss goes in. Hippie tries to get the beat down, but not even close there. eLevate still set up here as well. Nagafin trying to pick up one inside of the barn, and that's Quality finding the wrong end of the side.
Yeah, that is not a gunfight that Nagafin should win in that situation. He has 0 cover, and he is shooting uphill. Either way, he's able to stay alive, and, well, that player, Hippie, wasn't sure where Nagafin was going to be. He was focused mid-map trying to stop the drone carrier. Quality, though, is able to pick up 2, so that's going to diffuse a little bit of the tension. Either way, though, BitterSweet has been turtled up in their base. Last time they were in this situation, they went for the 15. Looks like this time they're going to be trying to push through 10.
You think the old saying, divide and conquer? That's sort of what I see from eLevate so far. They're forcing BitterSweet players out of position, taking them out, then grabbing the satellite drone and getting the points on the board. Like, watch this. Copier is the only one over here on trains. He has teammates following him up. He needs to play his life. He's able to pick up 1, trying to pick up the 2nd. But look, his teammates end up falling to eLevate. They just can continue this push. Nagafin really just needs to work together with Vicento. They can get an easy 1 point or 2 on the board now that the active camo comes out. And that's exactly what they do, and they're up 7-0.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a 1-point play in every situation except for when you have the heat wave or the active camo. So now you see once again Aqua setting up on that white truck with the Shiva. He is going to fall after 1 kill, but that's going to be another 2-point play coming out of eLevate. They're actually going for some alley-oops. Nagafin coming out of the woodworks to make that one happen. So they're just putting some style points on board, but still 9-0 lead, and they still have a minute left in the first side. Things are looking good for Team eLevate.
They're full on streaks as
expected.
well, and BitterSweet going to try and start to come back. The HDXD and the kill for Hippie is going to try and keep it going. He does have active camo with less than a minute remaining in the first half. The drone will be picked up for Quality, drops it, gives it to the other teams like, hey, I'll take you out now. Lines up the 1-point toss over Grandma's, and finally, BitterSweet on the board. Felony now is going to use the kinetic armor with less than a minute remaining here too. Trying to just get in position. The forward pass can come in very easy. There you see, will be, looks like it'll go over to Aqua, but he's not able to survive the HCXD.
Yeah, and Aqua has just been a huge thorn in the side of BitterSweet this game. He is 17-10 with the Shiva, and he has been putting himself in some very nice positions. Of course, at the moment right now, that drone is going to be down inside of tracks, and of course, Aqua, well, he's able to pick up 1. Hippie's going to shut him down. Vicento is pulling out the Shiva as well. I'm just going to assume that he picked that up off of Aqua's body. Either way, 9 seconds left. Not sure if anyone's going to be able to get the score. Buck is by himself, and that drone is just going to remain there. So eLevate up 9-1 after the first half of play.
And Nagafin's fully streaked out going into the second side. It's really nice plays from eLevate so far this game for sure. And I want to see if they can keep the momentum going into the second half. On the side of BitterSweet, Hippie, I'm surprised. 7-11 as far as the stats go so far. I want to see what he brings into the second half. Maybe he can make that look a bit prettier. Of course, it's not the amount of kills, but the impact that they can make on the map. And you think of the impact with eLevate having able to go on some of the streaks they have everything at their disposal to use. And now, speaking of things at their disposal, we talked about like some of the things, what can you actually do to throw them off guard, and we talked about how well practiced they are with everything. Nagafin's pulled out the Weevil for side number 2, and he already picked up 2.
Oh, I just feel bad. I don't even know if we should go on board with an Nagafen's perspective to watch this. He's able to pick up 2. He's actually going to miss the 1-point toss. Thank God. Either way, though, you got to imagine, even if BitterSweet starts to get any momentum going, Nagafen's fully streaked out, and that could very well be where he's the last player alive, doesn't have to use his gun, and he completely can kill the momentum. Of course, right now, BitterSweet going to be pushing up through trains, and well, you actually heard the Hellstorm comes in, misses everyone, and that's a 2-point play from BitterSweet. So not sure what was going on. Not sure if the Weevil kind of caused the Hellstorm from Nagafen to miss its target.
Felino pretty much saves their position there. He ends up picking up 2. Buck, though, trades it right back, but the important thing, the satellite drone is in the hands of the Red Rebellion. Aqua all the way up high, drops down, trying to pick up the kills as well, but when you have the Shiva that close for range, you can't really go in expecting to pick those up. Now Copy's going to try and fight for position in the middle of the map, and the push down trains once again coming from BitterSweet. They pick up 1 more, and if they can grab the drone, that's 4 points on the board. The Scythe are going to definitely help them out with their map control. Well,
Vicento was able to 15 that drone, or at least he threw it over bricks. I'm pretty sure in the location of that is on top of the building. That is the case. So again, eLevate, all they need to do is waste time. Quality does have the Scythe, but he's only able to pick up 2 before he gets shut down. And again, this is something you got to keep in mind. It is a 2-part system. So BitterSweet was finally able to get some points on the board. They got the dunk, but they were not able to return for the drone reset in time, and eLevate scored very, very quickly thereafter for the counter cap. So 2 things you have to do, and eLevate going to be putting more points on the board as we are. More pass plays as well. They are getting fancy.
The alley-oop, the kills still going in favor of eLevate, and now the forward pass opportunity is set up once again. Aqua just drops the drone, throws it forward, ends up picking up 2 with the Shiva, and he's able to stay alive. Facinto is going to be the one to pick up the Salad drone. He has Heat Wave. All Aqua has to do is buy a little more time, and he doesn't even have to do that because Nagafen's like, hey, you don't have to do anything. I'll just call a lightning strike onto the map, and we'll get these points on the board. Now an 11-point lead.
Yeah, Nagafen is definitely just playing this as if it were a pub. He's calling in the lightning strikes pretty much whenever he wants. He's making it work. Popping the active camo as well. This should result in at least 1 point. If not, he's going to be able to dunk if no one stops him in time. That is the case, though. Buck does beat him down straight thereafter. But eLevate, 16-3 lead. We know Envy was able to beat BitterSweet 13-0, and it's the same point differential. So pretty much the question is, how many points can eLevate put on the board before this game ends?
Hippie's going to try and use the active camo to stop the push from eLevate. Only able to pick up 1. Now he has a gun and a Tempest to think of, but his teammate Quality helps him out there and picks up both of those kills. Meanwhile, look at just how well eLevate has been sharing the objective. Right, every single person is touching. Facinto's just the only one that hasn't actually scored, and that looks like it can change any second now as he's going to line up the 1-point toss up and over Grandma's. And Facinto, welcome to the objective column.
I mean, keep in mind, this is 3/4 of the Team Revenge roster that kind of pioneered the teamwork in Uplink. Honestly, they're the first team to really utilize the pass feature in any sort of substantial way. So these guys are definitely going to be well-versed with that, and they've been showing it off a little bit here. But, of course, they've been showing off everything possible. They've been showing off the Weevil. They've been showing off the PO6 FMJ. They've been showing off streaks, camo plays, teamwork in Uplink, slaying power, and Hardpoint. They've been doing it all. This is the best eLevate's look so far at this tournament. But honestly, against the open bracket team, there's only so much that you can gather from it.
Yeah, and I wonder sort of what's going on in the minds of BitterSweet. Maybe after that matchup against Envy, did they sort of lose some of the momentum that they had? Or just what's going wrong with this team? But they're not out just yet. With less than a minute remaining, eLevate is looking to try and add more points on the board. A little bit of style as he goes in for the dunk there, of course. But now, 40 seconds remaining. eLevate 21, BitterSweet 3. Yeah,
Facento is trying to get himself on a poster, and something that it's kind of confusing to me is where does this leave a team like TSM going into champs? You know, because BitterSweet was able to take him down, and I was thinking BitterSweet was going to have a lot of competition coming into this eLevate match. Obviously, you're going to give the edge to eLevate, but eLevate has completely manhandled them, and BitterSweet beat them what, 3-1?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting things that are going to be moving forward. Either way, though, again, this one is going to be all but over. eLevate is 21-3. Hippie's going to be able to get at least 2 more points on the board in the final seconds. But again, completely dominance, straight through and through. Aqua, fantastic series. I think he was leading and slaying in the Hardpoint. In the S&D, he finished 8-3. And then, of course, right there, he ends up going, 31-22. So Aqua, good series. eLevate, great series. Got the 3-0.
So the 10 minutes of Uplink do not really go in favor of BitterSweet. Looks like they need a little bit more practice in that area going forward, because that's what a combined 34 to 5 in their past 2 uplinks. Not looking pretty there.
No. No, it is not. Either way, again, eLevate in their pool. They're getting moving. They have this second seed just behind the undefeated thus far Team Envious. So I think you said they were matching up against FaZe on the loser side of the bracket, or the winner side of the bracket, excuse me, against them. And then Envious will also be there on top as well. So BitterSweet, their tournament's certainly not over yet. It's just their road is going to be very tough from here. But they've already played a massive amount of games today. This is what these players are going to be used to at this point. So the road is only going to just get tougher and tougher from here.
So, coming up next, it's finally
Team A versus Team B.
To hop into Team A and Team B. We have a winners round 1 matchup coming straight to you from Orlando right after this.